So I just finished the full Danish Deception series, and as I predicted, I was right. So, and also in that time, I came across some new information about the woman on Yeka. Now, I'm going to just say it, like I said in my last video, this all happened because he was white. He only was able to scam her and her entire family because they fetishize closeness to whiteness. Okay, and I know this. I knew this before, but I definitely know this now. I looked at her Instagram following, and she's following Trump, JD Vance, and Candace Owens. I also looked at her tagged photos. Oh my God, like this isn't even, like sometimes, you know, when a black woman has mostly white friends, there is at least one or two other black girls or one light-skinned girl, some. In these photos, as you can see, she is the sole black person in all these trips, friend groups, work, everything. So, like I correctly predicted, whiteness had the most to do with this. She wanted the Candace Owens love story. That's why she didn't Google them. They didn't care about FaceTiming too much, and she didn't verify an Olympic record or a royal title. She assumed it was real because he's white. Now, I am not going to say she was romantically scammed. She was scammed by her own fantasy. This is, I'm sorry, and I want to say this nicely, just in case she ever sees this. You need to go back to therapy, Miss Onyeka. And I'm telling you this as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. In your last video, you asked for for somebody to give him a diagnosis. But baby, let's start with you. You're still delusional about this, okay? I truly believe as much credit at the end that you were giving this gambling addiction tells me you're still delusional, because everything was about the gambling addiction. You kept blaming the gambling addiction once you found out about it, because it had to be something other than he didn't want you. And he didn't want you, like, period. None of it was real from the start. He probably saw your Instagram the day y'all met, saw all these trips you go on, and saw an opportunity. No, not one day of this was real. And that's why I think she's still actively delusional. I do believe that he had to break up with her. He had to. I think he came to the conclusion she was never going to do it. The gambling addiction didn't scare her away. Nothing scared her away. Why? Because she wanted the Candace Owens love story. And that she thought that's what she was getting. She just needed to hold on and be loyal and just, you know, be a ride or die and be Barbara the Builder just long enough. Girl. That's my final take on it. She wants this guy put in prison. I think you need to go back to therapy, Miss Ma'am. Because you have not realized why this all happened, how you have internalized racism. Your entire family probably has. Glorifying whiteness, glorifying blonde hair and blue eyes. This is why this happened. I'm sure he probably had a gambling addiction. That means this much to you and how this happened. This much. Race and him being your white god meant this much. I'm just saying. All right, so I did get a response from Onyeka herself on my video. The video that talked about her situation with the Danish Deception and what I found on her Instagram. Now, what she said in this comment is that my entire video is a joke. She said, first off, she's not a MAGA or a Trump supporter. She just follows Trump, JD Vance, and Candace Owens. And she said, it's truly sad that I decided to make a video bashing the victim and not the perpetrator. It shows how the quality of human being I am. This is the issue. And this is why something like the Danish Deception will happen to this girl again. I promise you. She just got divorced 16 days ago. Already online, defensive, trying to make sense of it with strangers, not healing, just kind of figuring it out. The saddest part of this is that she made a response video where she said, you know, black men do this too. I just heard of a black man scamming somebody. What does black men have to do with this? I said I believe a black man would not have gotten away with what he got away with. But what does the black man have to do with this? Why do black men and what they do in outside of this situation have to do with it? But whitewash people have to bring black people down. Whenever a white person does something bad, they have to bring a black woman or a black man down to that level so they feel better about it, right? No, a black man didn't scam you out of your money. And I know you feel like, she personally feels like black women are being hard on her. They're judging her. They're bashing the victim. Ma'am, I thought you were a victim up until, and you can look at my old videos. I made a video saying, let's give this girl some grace. Up until he told you and you knew he was a thief. And you were still complicit. You were still taking trips. You were still posting on Instagram. You were still keeping up an image. So the real victims is your mother, your father, your friends, Crypto and Crypto's wife, the Danish mentor. These are the real victims, okay? You were complicit. I'm not saying you're not a victim at all, but please, 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 please do not, please escape this victim mentality because you're never going to heal. This happened because he was white. Period. Point blank. Black men ain't got nothing to do with this. You let your guard down and you gave him a certain level of social credibility due to his skin color. And then at the end of this, in a very backhanded and passive aggressive manner, she said, I will pray for you. Ma'am, pray for your mother, pray for your father, pray for your sister, pray for your friends, pray for Crypto, pray for Crypto's wife. I'm not out of $500,000. You are. Got it? You will always run into situations like this with this defensive attitude. I didn't call you out of your name. I see a lot of people in here calling you dumb, stupid, and what else. I never did that. All I said was, I think this is because he's white. That got you so triggered 2 weeks fresh off your divorce that you responded. That's okay. Please go to therapy. Please go to therapy. There's a reason why 90% of TikTok has one opinion, and then there's 10% that has another opinion. Another thing. I know you want to blame black women. We've been too hard on you. We're just not understanding. We're ignoring the fact that black men scam too. But where are your white friends? Where are they? Because you made a response video to black women because you're upset with us. Where's your tribe? Where's your village? Where's your crew? Where's all the picture? Where's all the women in the pictures from the bachelorette parties, the vacations? Where's all these white women? Or did they see you do a oopsie and they distance themselves? Don't take it out on us. Please do better. Please do better. Do not pray for me. Pray for your victims. Pray for yourself and pray you get that $500,000 back.
Onyeka. 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 How many times did I call your name? First of all, do Danish people do witchcraft? Quick question. Because this is not adding up. How did he get money from your dad? A Nigerian dad. Explain quickly. Your friends saying that they thought you were in on it, flag on the play. Get you some new ones. Quickly. How are you guys doing all this trip, and he's asking you for money? This whole situation, Like, first, I don't feel bad for you because I know Igbo women. That discernment be sharp. You don't talk to God. Do you pray? There's no way that you didn't know any of this borrowing money was happening until after. How do you not speak to your dad? Do you not speak to your, do you and your friends not talk about money? I'm like, I'm getting stressed out. You stressing me out because I don't think you're a victim in this. I think you just want to say, me too, I have one fine bubble. And that's okay. That's okay. I feel like you're not the victim. You can't be a victim in this. How'd you get married without your parents knowing as an African girl? He needed to get back surgery, slip disc. You said Paris, he said hooray. Ah, Jesus. How all those degrees, you are educated, you couldn't Google, you could. As an African woman myself, I don't even know.
All these Danish deception videos on TikTok is really making me think about friendships and the hard reality of having to like minimize your contact with a friend when they're with someone who clearly isn't good for them. I've been in this situation before. I have such high discernment with friends, with random people that I meet everything, and I can tell straight away if you are bad egg, right? And I will always tell people this. Thing is, they don't always listen, and maybe they're not supposed to because there's a lesson within what they need to learn in that situation that has to play out first. But as a friend, when your friend is clearly being manipulated or has rose-tinted glasses or whatever with the person that they're with, it does get to a point where you kind of have to step back. And I've seen people respond to Onyeka's videos that were like previous friends and stuff like that. I really don't blame them. Maybe the friends around her that, you know, ended up being part of it and also getting scammed out of it because of her ex-husband, maybe they also wouldn't have had to go through that too if they had that level of like boundaries, you know? This is why boundaries are so... I'm not even doing my toes. This is why boundaries are so important. If you see something that's not good, if you see something that makes you feel a bit weird, like always listen to your feelings. Your feelings, literally, your emotions tell you everything, right? If you have a bad feeling about something, follow it. Every time you don't listen to your intuition, you very quickly realize why.
I just finished watching the Danish Deception, and there was just a couple things that struck me as odd that I had to comment on. But first off, let that love never find me or any of y'all for that matter. Number one, I feel like the first time she got mad, like truly upset in the series, was when she realized that the family didn't tell her. I had not seen her display any type of anger for that man at that point. The man who lied with you, like tricked you to falling in love with you. Like, who knows if he ever loved her? That's surely not how I would treat anyone I loved. So I doubt that. And the first time you're mad is at his family. Number two, the amount of the lack of communication between the people in this story. So you're telling me that he was able to go to all these individual people who all know each other and none of them were like sitting at dinner and like, you know what's weird? You know, my sister's boyfriend borrowed $3,000 from me and no one was like, oh wait, he did that for me. Like, there was no discussion of this. Also, nobody bothered to tell her. Like, if my friend's man calls and asks me for money, first of all, no. But then after that, I'm calling her and be like, why is your man asking me for money? Especially if I'm seeing you fly to all these random countries. I don't care if his visa is up every 90 days. You live in Texas, cross the border. But no, y'all aren't breaking the 90 days there. You're breaking it in Paris and Portugal and Colombia and all of this and that. And it's just like, that just doesn't compute to me. Number three, her now being like, I want to put this man in jail, like after the series. I doubt that she wants to. Because, again, you're telling me that after all of this, you only are now, like I see people in the comments being like, oh, you can send him to Danish jail doing XYZ. And she's like, oh, I'm going to look into this. So you haven't looked into it yet. You were just happy to let the man con you and all of your loved ones and like destroy your reputation in the city that you live. Like, you didn't look into this before. You started to use ChatGPT towards the end, thank God. You didn't want to ask ChatGPT about that? I don't even know what point this is, but like, how can you fall for so many lies and not conclude that that person is just a liar? Like, if I find like 2 weird things about a person, I'm gonna do my own investigation, but I'm always gonna have in the back of their mind, like, oh, like, they're a little shisty. This man lied to you that many times, and you didn't start to fact check everything he said? Like, you let him go into the bank without you just so you could see what he's gonna do? You know what he's gonna do. And it's insane to me. And, you know, maybe I've never been in love. Actually, please give me your opinion on this, because the way that she was still willing to work with him, I would have been so far gone by then. So far gone. We would not have had a 24-part story with me, 26, but about 3 parts. But at all of that, you're still willing to work with him, and you're like trying to fight for your marriage as he's fighting to leave you? Insanity.
Guys, I just finished watching The Danish Deception. I'm completely done. And I have a hot take. Well, it's not really a hot take, but this is the one instance where gossiping would have prevented a lot of this. If people would have just spoken to one another and maybe spoken about her behind her back and been like, what the hell, why is she with him? They would have all realized that he's conning all of them. This is the one instance where gossip could have actually been positive, extremely. It would have saved them a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of hurt. She has really good friends, genuinely, because no one was talking about her behind her back to each other. Guys.
Please, can someone take Onyeka's phone, please? Because you know, we're on the phone, Nakia. Onyeka, you don't need to explain anymore. Just let the story die. Because, you know, I'm saying it as your village member, Sister Biko. It's okay. You don't need to explain anything else to us. We hear you. No more. No more.
So this may be an unpopular opinion. So the Danish Deception lady, she is starting to say that Black women are attacking her. And I'm one of those people that I don't care who you date. I don't judge people that say, oh, I like to date people that are super rich. I don't judge people who say that they like to date people because they're white. I don't care. Your preference is your preference. I don't think it's a preference, but whatever. Do you? But where it gets a little weird is when your preference becomes more of a personality trait. So when I went, you guys said, oh, go on her Instagram, the man is tagged. So when I went on her page, I realized that a lot of the pages that were tagging her was white men that date Black women that date white men. That is a little weird. You have now made your relationship a personality trait. And when you do that, that person's image is the only thing you're obsessing with and not who that person is. So now they're able to manipulate you. So this person is a terrible person, but you don't see that because he is white. You don't see that because he is rich. You don't see that because he comes from royalty. So again, if you are dating John, you're dating John because you love him. If you are dating Tanisha, you are dating Tanisha because you love her. Not because Tanisha is Black or John is white. That is weird. And so that is how you get manipulated. And now we go back and we look at another comment she made, was that anyone can scam. A Black man can scam a Black woman. Yes, a Black man can scam a Black woman. Similar to the Tinder swindler, he was scamming the individual, the woman. This particular case, he was able to scam an entire friend family group because the complexion was the protection. You're willing to forego all the red flags, and he is able to scam the entire village.
Onyeka. Yo, this is him. This is the Danish royal-blooded Olympian IRS banded superhero impressor of Nigerian dads. Onyeka whisperer. Whisperer of all of Onyeka's friends and family. Okay? Professional borrower. Okay? Legit deceiver. Back surgery with no scar and perfect walk after. 2-day back surgery recoverer. Okay? This is him, y'all. This is the royal blood. See the royal blood flowing there through his veins? That's him. That's him, y'all. Unyeka. Unyeka. This is him, y'all. This is the one. This is the man that got Unyeka insulting and cursing black women out. This is him. This is him, y'all. This is him. Y'all, I'm emotionally downcasted. I'm royally flabbergasted. I'm royally downcasted. I'm royally unimpressed. I'm royally upset. Unyeka! Why? Why have you decided to finish?
And then when I tell you guys that women are the problem, y'all get mad at me. But this Danish deception is an example of a woman who refuses to take accountability. Like, I don't know how to say it. A lot of you women get played because you want to get played. Your desperation is the reason why you get played. That white man did what he was supposed to do, colonize. He was supposed to do what he did, colonize. He saw a lick, he saw a dumbass bitch lick, and he hit that hoe. I would have done worse to her because I'm Nigerian. She's lucky she didn't meet a Nigerian nigga who saw she was stupid. She's really blessed that motherfucker only did the white man colonization, because if it was an African man, that girl on Onyeka, you and your family members win stupid award. But also you can tell that she's someone who has self-insecurity. So she felt so special because a white man liked her. You can tell she doesn't really have self-confidence. A lot of you women get played because you choose to. You choose, and listen, my guys, my fellas, if you find a girl like that, hit her for everything she's got. Point blank period.
Danish deception and Risa they two different. They two different things, you know. Risa, at least, she admitted, like, hey, listen, I was getting taken advantage of, but listen, I was being lied to, and he was undoing some of the lies, and it was a lot of red flags, but then it was different. Danish deception, I'm sorry, babe, you were a complete doormat. You were dumb. I'm sorry. And I'm pretty sure this is a lot of stuff you told yourself, so of course this wouldn't hurt you, but y'all wouldn't let a black man dare to play in y'all face, tap dance on y'all head like that. But a white man y'all could go for fried ice cream. Y'all could go for fried ice cream. And it's sad that he had to take you up through there to show you he was just a nigga. He was just like him. And baby, was the deception in the room with us, because everything was clear and blatant. Baby, every day he had a $3,000 to $10,000 emergency, and you didn't understand what was going on. And one thing that because I was listening, I did not hear you touch saying, like, you know, we was intimate. How did he lure you to just put yourself and dwindle your bank account down that way? Like, what's the deception in the room? Everything was clear. When you position yourself to be said woman to a narcissist like that, they are not looking at you as, like, if you're human, it's like you're an object that they can deplete. And I do feel so bad that he treated you that way. But it should be a learning lesson, guys. Do not let people come into your life and, like, keep you on an emotionally, charged roller coaster, love bomb you. Really get to know somebody. That's really what it boils down to, is to really get to know them. Because was the dream in the room with us? Like, was the deception there? It's like, honey, you were the red flag. I don't think it wouldn't be called the Danish deception in my book. It would be called more like Danish demolition, because, baby, the deception, baby, it was past that. He was running your shit up. Oh, I just wish I could get a free bag of chips. But no, I'm out, y'all. I'm out. Black men and black women scam all the time.
Onyeka, approach the bench. Approach the bench. Here's the thing. I'm too ADHD to watch any 25-part series of anything. I didn't even watch Risa Tisa, but here's the difference between you two. Number one, Risa's bills were paid. Her bills were paid. He kept the lights on in that townhouse. Two, Mama investigated. Okay, she investigated and started to do her due diligence when things didn't add up. But you, Onyeka, you've taken actually no accountability, saying, I've taken accountability. I was too vulnerable, too trusting. That's not accountability, babe. It's not. Because in the words of the great Jordan the Stallion, come here. Come here. You're a scammer, too. You are a scammer, too. You posted couples content until he left you. Were you monetized? I don't know how many followers you have. You posted travel content while he was scamming all your friends and family. You knew about it at that point. The accountability people are looking for is for you to admit that you, too, are a scammer and a narcissist. This man said he thought you'd be cool with the scam because you're Nigerian and we're scammers. And you... And here's the thing, I'm a neurodivergent external processor, so I'm not even mad about you coming to the internet to tell this story. That's fine. You had the nerve to come on this video, okay? You had the nerve to come on this video singling out black people and saying, oh my God, making it all about race when you submitted how many videos to the swirl pages? How many videos did you submit to swirl pages? You not embarrassed? Then to close out, you told us the third reason that you were doing this was to get back at him, okay? It wasn't to warn people, wasn't to tell your truth. It was to collect tips, verbatim, that's what you said, to get back at him. Out of your mouth, you told a story where you offered him $10,000 multiple times, and he finally said, okay, fine, give me 6. He's a scammer. You're a scammer. You thought your money could outscam the scammer to make him love you because you actually have money. You thought your money could overcome his scamming so that you could scam everybody on the internet. Onyeka, my dear, I need you to dig deeper. I need you to dig deeper. What scares me is I don't even know if you're capable of that. We are both Nigerian girls living in the same city. From Danish deception to Dallas delusion, I need you to dig deeper, okay? Thank you, love you, bye.
If we have learned nothing else from Danish deception, we have learned that being the only black girl in your friend group is detrimental. Because, girl, my homegirls would have cracked that case within minutes, and we would have been done with old boy. It wouldn't have even taken long for us to look him up and figure this out. Is she a victim? Yes. Is she also complicit? Absolutely. Because not researching easily verifiable information was a choice. I cannot think of a single time where a man has told me something about himself and I didn't look it up. Some years back, my friends and I went to the club. We walk in, my friend Shanika meets this guy. And they kind of hit it off and they kind of kicking it the whole night. We like, okay, girl, we see you. We all leave at the same time. By the time I have made it to my house, Shanika texted and said, oh, it's a wrap for old boy. I was like, what you mean? What happened? In that short amount of time, we just left. She said, oh, I looked him up and he lied about his age. If he lied about his age, he'll lie about anything. I can't fool with him. It was that simple. It took nothing for her to look him up, and we didn't even have all the stuff we have now. Listen, I saw a video of her saying that she has seen some negative comments, and they're mostly from black women. Girl, stop lying. The comments are all over the place from women across all different spectrums. Don't do that. Surrounding yourself in this white supremacy circle makes you believe that black women are out to get you, and we are not. We are holding you accountable for how foolish you were and not looking into simple stuff. Like, I'm a nurse. So for me, if my man just had back surgery, I'm expecting to go wherever he is and we just gonna lay down and rest and I'm gonna take care of him. Your man had back surgery and then a few days later y'all were gallivanting in Paris and that made sense to you. You wanted to believe that he was telling you the truth. It's really disappointing to see how much you let slide. And the thing that got me the most is that he left you. If that man hadn't have left, girl, you would be right there, still trying to cure him of his addiction. He didn't have an addiction. He may have had an addiction 10 years ago to gambling, but what he was doing was taking your money and using it on another chick, and then taking money from another chick and using it on you. It was never about an addiction. And the sooner you take some ownership, the sooner you can move
I'm not
forward.
one to gossip. You know I'm not one to gossip. I don't even like publicly speaking on like current discourse topics, but my sister's not answering the phone. So let me give you my thoughts and takeaways from the Danish deception. I know that everybody's like on the timeline right now saying like the lessons that you should learn from it. But one thing that I haven't heard someone say is why we should finally use this as a lesson to let go of the idea of like turn your brain off around a man. Because why would you ever want to do that, babe? Like, why would you ever want to turn your brain off around a man? That's your biggest threat. That's your biggest threat. And I get it. It sounds so cute to be like, oh my God, he just takes care of everything so good that I ain't even got to worry about what's going on. I don't even got to think. No, and let that nigga take care of stuff. Yes, cool. Like, that's fine. But like, still be thinking. What's wrong with y'all? Like, no. And you could even argue like, okay, like, you know, there's people that like, they wait until they get married and have kids to like finally be like, I'm gonna put my full like trust in this nigga and like, I'm just gonna like let him take care of shit and like turn my brain off, blah, blah, blah. No, because time and time again, we see women getting divorces and then through the process of divorce, all these things get uncovered of where the money was going and where they own things and their name was on things they didn't know. And it's like, because you turned your brain off. You put your trust in a nigga, stupid girl. Why you fake you wouldn't fuck your best friend and your sister. And it was my nigga's sister that you took the money from, guys. Like, are you not putting the pieces together that I'm letting you know? This shit is not cute. It's not cute to be like, I'm turning my brain off around a man. It's not. Like, it's just not cute. And there's no time in the relationship where it's ever safe to do that. It's never going to be safe to do that. Like, that's, at the end of the day, is just some guy. He's just some guy. Okay? And you should always let a nigga take care of shit. Like, that's fine. But still be thinking. Never stop thinking when it comes to a man. Like, just stop, okay? And I think we need to stop spreading this rhetoric because it, you know, it really seeps into the young women's mind. This is not me speaking to Onyeka personally because she has already, you know, what's done is done. And like, I feel like people are being very harsh to her about something that has already happened, right? And like, hindsight is 20/20, all that. But let the rest of us not have to learn that same lesson the hard way. And related but unrelated, but a nigga couldn't even get a 3-piece box combo from Cane's out of me. No shade. No shade. Baby, no, you can't get an extra toast. No, you can't even get the slaw unless you're paying. But yeah, that's my takeaway. Stop saying that turning your brain off around a man is cute because it will literally never be cute. Never let these niggas catch you. Like, one thing about me, I got eyes and ears to the motherfucking streets. And I'm not exempt from getting played. Nobody's exempt from getting played. But one thing I ain't gonna do is turn my motherfucking brain off. Okay, bye. Love you.
There's one thing we can all learn from the Danish deception story. It is that, ladies, we should have more audacity. Because what do you mean a Danish man making $400,000 a year has the audacity to ask for over $30,000 from his Nigerian girlfriend and then wife? Has the audacity to ask for money from her friends, her cousins, her parents? Where did he get this audacity? He also had the audacity to claim he had a royal title and won an Olympic medal. Obviously, I'm not here to suggest that you deceive people, but please, even 1% of that man's audacity will probably make you richer than you've ever been.
I'm really gonna sit here and pretend that Martin did not try to spare Onyeka. This man really said, you know what? I'm not gonna scam her. I'm gonna let her go. I'm gonna let her off the hook. This man was prepared to leave with his friend, but no, she was like, you know what? Let me get you guys Instagram. And he didn't want to be rude, so he's like, okay, cool. Then he invites her to Monaco. He just trying to have a good damn time with a gorgeous lady. And she's like, oh, and by the way, here's my number. And he's like, oh my God. Yay, thank you. I've been waiting for you to give me this, although I have never asked for your number. Then boom, Monaco happens. While she's there, she decides to tell him, I love you, while crying. And then next thing you know, her ass falling down a flight of stairs. I think he sprinkled a little dust in her drink. At this point, he's like, surely she's gonna want to get away from me because you never had seizures before, you passing out. Clearly it's me. But no, instead of saying this never happened to me before, now all of a sudden I'm with this man and this is happening, he did something to me. No, instead of that, she said, I love you too. Fast forward, they on the phone. He complaining about something he need to pay for, something with his rental place or whatever. And he's telling her like he missing the money and she keeps offering it to him. He's like, no, I don't want your money. Homegirl not taking no for an answer. So he finally said, you know what? I don't need 10,000. I only need 6. And she was like, okay, let me give it to you. And he said, promise me that this would be the only time and you're okay with giving me this money. She said, yes. Fast forward, he tells her some very easily Googleable information. He tells her that he was an Olympian and that he like a part of the royal family. And he's like, surely she's gonna Google this shit and realize I'm a fraud. I really don't want to scam this girl, but she's making it a little too easy for me and I'm having a hard time not scamming her. She just wouldn't catch the hint. But by this time, he's already pulled in. He's like, you know what? I really tried to spare her. I didn't want to do it to her, but F it. This is an easy target. Let me run it up.
So embarrassed right now. This one is not Danish deception. This one is Danish obsession. Because after hearing this episode from Onyeka, girl, I'm sorry. I have no empathy here. Because I see a lot of people saying, I have empathy for her. Feel sorry for her. For what? It's 2025. This is a well-educated young woman. Like stunning. The way she speaks, you can tell she's fluent. She's very well educated. Falling for a scam that was invented in our own country. In 2025, somebody told her it's an Olympian. She couldn't even ask Alexa, Siri, Gemini to confirm if he's really an Olympian. Really? In 2025, somebody is still telling you he's a prince. In 2025, you couldn't do your research, a proper research. Now your friend Congo, they ask, what do they call her, private or whatever, investigate. I was so embarrassed. Empathy for where? She didn't even want to leave this man. She didn't want to leave. The way she was even saying the story, it's like if this man called her tomorrow, she will appear in front of him. She didn't want to leave him. He left her. She was still trying to make it work. I was stunned. I was flabbergasted. Because, Onyeka, we all know if this man looked like Chinsom from your village, you would never have fallen for this nonsense. You would never have fallen for this nonsense. Let's be real. The blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, tall, just blocked your brain. Like, girl, you were whooped. Even as you were saying the story, you are still whooped. Because she's still trying to defend him. It wasn't all that bad. He did some nice things for me. Of course, he did nice things for you with your own money. No accountability. I'm trying to defend him. Then why are you telling us the story? Why? It's like they not do you rich. He didn't clear your accounts properly because I was so embarrassed. Nigeria babe, oh. Nigeria babe. You were just giving money like that. Igbo babe, to be precise. Igbo women that are born to suck a man's bank account dry. You go there, you go the fund. You the fund man. But if it's Chinsom from your village, you won't even look at him twice. There is no empathy here. There is no empathy. Make all of her just rest. Because she's a grown woman. Well-educated one. She shouldn't be falling for this kind of scam. Prince? 2025. Prince? Hey! I beg later.
Entire Danish deception series, and I wanted to weigh in as a European who grew up in Europe. The first thing people need to understand is the distance was a huge factor. If she was living in Europe, or even better in Denmark, she would have caught a lot of the things that he lied about much sooner. Like, she would have found out he doesn't have a property. She would have met his parents sooner. She would have met some of his other friends that he has already scammed out of money. Like, think about you if you're married or in a long-term relationship. It takes time to get to know somebody and everything about them. And if you're not physically there with them, it's much harder. Secondly, he created an environment that makes it very hard not to believe him, with $2,000 a night hotels, taking her shopping and saying, you can buy whatever you want to buy. It'd be much easier to doubt his words if his words didn't match his actions, but they did. Now, here's the part I think would have saved her if she lived in Europe. When he made up the lies that he's gone to the Olympics or that he had a royal title, as a European, I would have Googled the royal title, not because I wanted to verify if what he's saying is true, but because Europeans don't love royal families. Like, we'd Google that shit just to make sure we're not associated with some really dodgy royal family history. We'd be worried about marrying into something really dark. And I think US media particularly pedestals royal families. I mean, look at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and their perception in the US versus their perception in the UK and Europe. So remember their first trip together was in Monaco. A lot of the US media and people also pedestal Monaco, whereas Europeans know that there's not much to do in Monaco. It's so tiny, it's like a weekend getaway and no more than that. Whereas I think in America it's seen as this luxurious, high-end special place. I don't know. You tell me how you see Monaco if you live in the States. But in Europe, we're kind of like, eh. The other thing I think that's interesting as a European is typically the Scandinavian countries like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and I've dated guys from these countries. They're typically known for going Dutch, aka going 50-50. So that alone would have been quite interesting to a European to go like, really? That guy is not like that? Interesting. That would have been a reason to look up his royal title and his wealth and all that kind of stuff. But how is somebody who's lived in the US their entire life supposed to know any of this? They're not. You can be well traveled and still not fully understand a lot of those European nuances that Europeans talk about all the time. And I think he took advantage of that. I think he made up some outrageous lies, like the Olympic lie, and he just did that as a test. Like, oh, let me come up with the most ridiculous lie I could possibly do and see how she handles it. If she doesn't question me, doesn't investigate me, that's my sign I've got full freedom. So I'm not going to judge anyone for not seeing red flags before they move in with the person. And this is a great reminder of the risk of falling in love with somebody long distance, because by the time you have fallen in love with somebody and have the chance to truly get to know them, you might be so deep in that any red flags that you see afterwards, your body will just try to reject. And the final thing nobody's considering is that if she didn't live in the US, which has such strict rules about who can live there and who cannot, she wouldn't have married him that quickly. She would have had the opportunity to live with him 1, 2, 3 years to really get to know him and who he is. And then if he is good, then they would have gotten married. And I think she would have found out that he wasn't, and she wouldn't have married him. Like, I know how complicated that is because my fiance is Canadian and I'm European, and we decided to live in Europe instead. And it was very easy for him to just get residency without us getting married. But if I wanted to live in Canada, I think that would have been more complicated, and we may have had to get married much sooner and not have any chance to get to know each other. So consider that.
Who the fuck did I marry had a key ingredient that is missing in the Danish deception, and that secret sauce is why Onyeka is struggling to connect with audiences in the same way that Risa did. Let's talk about it. I recently finished watching the Danish deception, and I've also been combing through the comments, and I'm realizing more and more that people are struggling to feel an ounce of remorse for Onyeka. And this is, in my opinion, because she has failed to hold herself accountable in the role she played in this scam. And when I say hold herself accountable, I'm in no way victim blaming. I simply mean a lot of her story is external and the internal monologue is not happening. And this is very much unlike Risa, where when Risa was telling us her story, she gave us a peep into what she was going through emotionally that made it easy for Legion to scam her. We don't see that with Onyeka, because the truth of the matter is this. Scammers, or let me say perpetrators, oftentimes pick their victims. And they do this so that they can maximize their chances of success and minimize the risk. Now, a risky victim is somebody, for example, that is very no-nonsense and would take your ass to the police the first time you try to scam them. Or a risky victim is somebody that, for example, doesn't believe in sending a man money. A risky victim, again, would be, for example, somebody that overshares, somebody that doesn't have secrets, somebody that isn't private, somebody that is shameless, meaning they will put their business out there. They will warn their family and friends when they're going through things. That is not a profile of a perfect victim. But Onyeka, on the other hand, was, in my opinion, a perfect victim because, as hard as it is to admit, She is a typical pick-me, and we see the first sign of this, I think, even in part 1, when she's talking about how she went to Croatia with her friend and they're sitting at a dinner table, and she says she doesn't know how to cook, but for the right man she will make that effort. That was the first sign that this man took in realizing she would make a perfect victim. The incessant and desperate need to be chosen raised its ugly head several times throughout the series, but the foundation, in my opinion, was laid when they went on their first trip together to, was it Monaco? And she wanted a Dior bag, but she didn't take it because she wanted to prove to this man that she's not like other women and that she's not just with him for his money. This man could spot that better woman, quote unquote, narrative she was weaving from a mile away, and like a scammer, he took advantage of it. A lot of times perpetrators will put out little testers to see if you will make the perfect victim. In Onyeka's case, number 3 was how trusting she was. This man told her that he's royalty. She never checked it. He told her he's a Olympic medalist. She never checked it. He told her that he's buying a multi-million-dollar, is it apartment or a complex? She never vetted it, even though she's in real estate. That made it easy for him to prey on her. The plotting and the planning finally paid off when this man complained that he needed an advance on some apartment that he had just invested in. And Onyeka, without being asked, not only offered to give him a loan, but insisted repeatedly that he accept help from her. And this was before she had met his family. This was before she had been to his hometown. This was before she met his closest circle of friends. This was before she had set a foot in his apartment, had been to his workplace. All she knew really about this man was his name and last name, if that was even true. For the viewers who struggle to connect with the way this story was narrated, myself included, I think Onyeka would have done the story a world of good if she had found some balance between the external and the internal. Meaning, she is a beautiful, educated woman that comes from a well-to-do family. She has her own car, she has her own house, she seems to be having a good career, and yet something in her was missing, was lacking, that it made it easy for this man to bamboozle her. What is that thing? And yes, keep it brutally honest and raw. Tell us, admit, because we're all thinking it. Admit that him being white made it easier for you to scam. Him being European made it easier for you to trust. Admit to us that had this man not left you, you might still be married to him. You might still be fighting to make this marriage work like you did when you were begging him not to leave. Admit to us that you only started doing investigation and talking to your friends and cross-referencing because the spiel was up and there was no way that you could make this marriage work. While it's all good and well to admit that you felt some resentment towards his family keeping from you information that he had a gambling problem 10 years prior, also be honest enough to admit that it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference, because 2 out of the 3 years that you were with this man, you knew he had a gambling problem. You knew that he was heavy in debt, and yet you were complicit in covering up for him and keeping his secrets. That's why your family and your friends were also scammed by this man, because you never told your immediate circle about what was happening. And finally, while this story does serve as a cautionary tale, and yes, we should all be wary of not just him, but men or people like him, I wish Onyeka would also admit that as much as she's trying to empower other people by telling this story, she's also trying to get her lick back. As a woman that's been scorned before, it takes one to know one, babes. And there is nothing wrong with admitting that, because those are real and human emotions. To want to get a sense of revenge when you've been that deeply hurt is valid. And admitting that in the story could have brought people closer to you. All in all, it was a good story. And even with my critique of its delivery, doesn't change the fact that it was a really, really good story, and it is a good series. And if you haven't watched it, go find Onyeka, The Danish Deception.
The thing about The Danish Deception that I haven't seen anyone comment on yet is that she's lying. You can't tell me that in 2025 you have this life where you are able to see the world and make a ton of money and have friends with influence, and you didn't look up when this guy said he was a Danish prince. When he said he was an Olympic medalist, you weren't like, oh my god, I have to see your Wikipedia. She's lying. This whole time she knew. She was not tricked. She knew that this guy was not a Danish prince. She knew he wasn't a medalist, that he wasn't this like super rich guy. But she was living in her own delusion that this would all kind of resolve itself. She has the guy, you know, she has the guy that everyone else wants, that all of her white friends want. Everyone has said this, thank God, that the first thing that she says about this guy is that he's tall, he has blue eyes, he's blonde, he's Danish. Like, it all has to do with her wanting to be chosen with a white man. We all agree on that. But she thought that this would all work itself out through the power of nothing. Like, she had no basis on that. She wanted to be chosen so bad by a white man that she ignored. They weren't red flags, she just knew that it was bad. Like, she ignored all of these truths. The thread of hope that with daddy's money, with her money, that she would still be able to secure this man. And we know this to be true because he left her. She was not going to let go of this guy for any reason, because at the end of the day, the pictures were good, her friends were jealous, and she was chosen by a white man. And the super extra mega crazy thing is that she would actually have a successful story that everyone like related to and like wanted to connect with if she told the truth. If she said, man, I was being a pick-me and I made a mistake and I thought that I knew what I wanted, but I didn't. I thought that what I wanted was a guy that would give me status and that would make us as a couple look desirable, make me look desirable to the white standard. But actually what I really wanted was a loving husband and not this criminal piece of crap guy. She would actually have a story, but she's trying to save face. Like, she's trying to be like, oh, well, you know, he tricked me. Girl, you didn't use the internet. I don't believe you.